Yesterday morning, one post broke the internet in the semiconductor world. No press conference, no earnings call, no official statement from either company, just Donald Trump on Truth Social writing 7 words, "Apple has agreed to work with Intel." And within minutes, Intel's stock was up 10%, a $600 billion company, moving 10% on a social media post. Now look, a lot of channels are going to cover that headline today. They're going to talk about Apple, they're going to talk about Trump, and they're going to move on. That's not what we're doing here, because here's what nobody is asking. And this is the question that actually tells you where the real money moves in a story like this. When America decides it wants to build chips at home, who actually does the part that nobody can see? Designing a chip is one thing, but turning that design into a finished product, the chip that goes inside your iPhone, your MacBook, your AI data center, that's 3 separate steps. And right now, 2 of those 3 steps have almost zero capacity inside the United States. That's the story today. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand the onshore chip manufacturing squeeze better than 99% of investors who saw that same Trump post this morning. I'm John A.G. This is Future AI Stocks. Disclaimer. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. Let's get into it. Let me give you the context that most people are skipping. For 20 years, the world quietly handed off the most critical manufacturing on Earth, semiconductor fabrication, to one island, Taiwan. Specifically, one company, TSMC. And that worked fine, until it didn't. The U.S. government under both Biden and Trump made domestic chip manufacturing a national security issue. The CHIPS Act put $52 billion on the table. And then, something almost unprecedented happened. The U.S. government took a direct 10% equity stake in Intel, an $8.9 billion investment. The government essentially became a shareholder in America's biggest chip maker, specifically to accelerate domestic production. Then came NVIDIA, $5 billion invested into Intel in late 2025. Then Elon Musk's Terafab project, described as the largest chip factory in the world, being designed in collaboration with Intel's technology team. Then Google committing to Intel CPUs for AI workloads. Then Microsoft placing foundry orders. And now Apple. Here's the thing about Apple specifically. Apple ships roughly 230 million iPhones a year. Every single one of those chips is made by TSMC in Taiwan. 100% concentration on one island in the Taiwan Strait. That's not just a supply chain risk, that's an existential business risk, and Apple knows it. So this Apple Intel story isn't about Trump's post. It's about the largest company in the world deciding it can no longer bet everything on one geography. That decision has been building for over a year. The Wall Street Journal reported in May that talks had been underway for more than 12 months. The post was just the public signal of a shift that was already in motion. Let's talk about Intel. Ticker INTC. Because the story here is genuinely more interesting than most people realize. 18 months ago, Intel was a punchline. Years of manufacturing delays, lost customers. A stock that had collapsed from $60 down to under $19. The company that invented the microprocessor had somehow missed the AI revolution entirely. Fast forward to today. INTC closed at $133.99 on June 18th. That's a 52-week range of $18.97 to $135.48. The stock is up over 600% from its lows. That's not a small recovery. That's a complete re-rating of what this company is. So what actually changed? First, the numbers. Q1 2026, revenue of $13.6 billion, up 7% year over year and $1.4 billion above Intel's own guidance. Adjusted EPS of 29 cents against analyst expectations of just 2 cents. That's a 1,350% earnings surprise. And this was the 6th consecutive quarter Intel beat estimates, 6 in a row. The AI-driven side of the business now represents 60% of total revenue and grew 40% year over year. Data center and AI revenue hit $5.1 billion, up 22% year over year. Q2 2026 guidance came in at $13.8 to $14.8 billion, again ahead of what Wall Street expected. Second, the technology. Intel's most advanced manufacturing process is called 18A. And on June 16th, just 2 days before Trump's post, Intel disclosed at the VLSI Symposium that 18A-P, the next generation version of that process, has entered risk production. Risk production means it's real, it's running. Customers can now come in and validate their chip designs on actual silicon, not just a roadmap presentation. According to analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, Apple has already received Intel's 18A-P process design kit and run internal simulations, with results reportedly meeting expectations. That's significant. That's not a rumor. That's an analyst with deep supply chain contacts saying Apple has already done the technical homework. Third, the government. The U.S. government's 10% stake in Intel isn't just money. It's a strategic commitment that no other foundry can replicate. TSMC doesn't have that in the U.S. Samsung doesn't have that. Intel is the only company where Washington has a direct financial interest in its success as a domestic chip manufacturer. Now, and I want to be straight with you here, the risks are real. Intel's foundry division still posted an operating loss of $2.4 billion in Q1. 18A yields are improving but aren't yet at commercially profitable levels. Trump's post is not a signed contract. Neither Apple nor Intel has formally confirmed scope or volume. And at roughly $134 a share, 48 out of the analysts covering this stock have an average price target of $93.97, which means a lot of professional analysts think the stock has run ahead of the fundamentals right now. This is not a simple story. It's a turnaround thesis that's playing out in real time, with real execution risk attached to it. But here's what makes it different from every other semiconductor comeback story you've heard. This one has the weight of U.S. national security policy behind it. And that's a tailwind that doesn't disappear between earnings calls. Here's where this story gets really interesting. And most investors completely miss this part. When people think about chip manufacturing, they picture the fabrication plant, the clean room, the wafer. That's step 2. Step 1 is chip design. That's what Apple, NVIDIA, AMD all do in their California offices. Step 3 is called advanced packaging, and this is the step that almost nobody talks about. Advanced packaging is the process that takes a finished wafer, a disk of silicon with thousands of chips on it, cuts it apart, connects those chips to each other with microscopic interconnects, stacks them in three-dimensional structures, tests every single one for defects, and seals them into the final modules that actually go into devices. The most sophisticated version of this, called 2.5D packaging, is what makes AI chips possible. When you see an NVIDIA GPU in a data center, the reason it can process AI at incredible speed is because the GPU die and the HBM memory stacks are physically bonded together using advanced packaging technology. Here's the problem. Right now, the United States has almost no advanced packaging capacity at scale. It's concentrated in Taiwan, South Korea, and Southeast Asia. So if Apple's chip gets designed in Cupertino and fabricated at Intel's Arizona fab, but then has to fly to Taiwan for packaging, you haven't actually reshored the supply chain. You've just moved the vulnerability one step downstream. The U.S. Department of Commerce flagged this directly. They said, a lack of 2.5D technology capacity has been a significant choke point in the semiconductor industry's ability to meet AI demand. That choke point has a company attached to it, and that company is Amkor Technology, headquartered in Tempe, Arizona. Most people have never heard of them, which, honestly, is exactly where interesting investment stories tend to start. Here's what Amkor does in one sentence. They take chips after fabrication and turn them into finished, tested, deployable products. They are the world's largest U.S.-headquartered OSAT company, outsourced semiconductor assembly and test. Their capabilities include high-density fan-out packaging and 2.5D technology, exactly the processes the AI chip industry depends on. Now let's look at the numbers, because they've been moving fast. Q1 2026, record first quarter revenue of $1.68 billion, up 27% year over year, EPS of 33 cents, beating analyst expectations by 38%. Their advanced products segment grew 29% year over year to $1.37 billion. That's 81% of total company sales. And they hit record AI data center revenue in that single quarter. Q2 2026 guidance, $1.75 to $1.85 billion in revenue. Gross margin guidance of 14.5% to 15.5%. And on the earnings call, management said something that caught analyst attention. Their AI packaging portfolio is on track to nearly triple in 2026, as 2 new CPU programs hit high-volume production in the second half of the year. Long-term targets, $9 billion in revenue and 17.5% gross margins by 2028, $11 billion and 22% gross margins by 2030. The stock on June 18th closed at $90.46, up from a 52-week low of $19.79 and hitting an all-time high of $96.68 just days earlier on June 16th. Now, the Arizona story is where this all comes together. In Peoria, Arizona, Amkor is currently building what will be the largest outsourced advanced packaging facility in the United States. Initial investment of $2 billion on a 104-acre campus. They recently acquired an adjacent 67-acre parcel for further expansion. Total potential build-out, $7 billion. Estimated 3,000 jobs at full scale. The U.S. Department of Commerce already awarded Amkor up to $407 million in Direct CHIPS Act funding for this facility. Apple and NVIDIA are already confirmed as lead customers. And here's the geography that matters. The facility sits directly adjacent to TSMC's own Arizona fab complex. Think about what that means. TSMC fabricates the wafer in Arizona. Amkor packages the chip in Arizona. The finished product ships to Apple or NVIDIA, all on American soil. That is end-to-end domestic semiconductor production. That is exactly what Washington has been trying to build for 5 years. And now with Intel's Arizona fabs added to that same geographic cluster, Amkor's campus sits at the intersection of every major onshore manufacturing story simultaneously. The risks, and they matter. Amkor's gross margins are thin, 14.2% in Q1. This is a capital-intensive business, heavy upfront spending before the revenue arrives. The Arizona facility doesn't reach full production until 2028, and insiders have been net sellers over the past 12 months, which is always worth noting. At around $90 per share, this stock is priced for a significant margin expansion that hasn't yet shown up in the financial statements. Patience is the price of this thesis. Here's the frame that connects Intel and Amkor into a single thesis. America needs 3 things to truly reshore chip manufacturing. Step 1, chip design, already here, Silicon Valley. Step 2, chip fabrication. That's what Intel's 18A fabs in Arizona are for. That's what TSMC's Arizona complex is doing. Step 3, advanced packaging. That's what Amkor's $7 billion Arizona campus is being built to provide. Intel and Amkor are not competitors. They are 2 different layers of the same domestic supply chain. Intel makes the wafer. Amkor makes the wafer into a chip. You cannot have one without the other. The U.S. government has now put real capital behind all 3 layers. Apple has publicly signaled it is diversifying away from single-source Taiwan dependency, and both Intel and Amkor already have facilities under construction, customer relationships confirmed, and government funding in hand. This is not a theoretical story. The concrete is being poured in Arizona right now. Before we wrap, let me be honest about what could go wrong, because this is how serious investors think. Trump's post is not a contract. No formal confirmation from Apple or Intel means no signed volume commitments yet. Investors should not treat a social media announcement as a business agreement. Intel's 18A yields are still not at profitable levels. If yield improvements stall into late 2026, the Apple timeline shifts, and so does the stock. At $134, Intel is trading at roughly 96 times forward earnings on a company still posting GAAP losses. That's expensive. Any execution miss gets punished hard at that valuation. For Amkor, thin margins, heavy capex, and production at Arizona not starting until 2028 means this story requires a longer time horizon than most retail investors want to hold. And one broader risk that covers both companies: policy. The onshore chip push is tied to the current administration's industrial agenda. Political environments change. If semiconductor subsidies or tariff structures shift significantly, the entire incentive map gets redrawn. Know your risks before you know your thesis. So here's the one thing I want you to walk away with today. When Trump posted those 7 words yesterday morning, most people saw a headline. What we looked at today is the actual supply chain sitting underneath that headline, and 2 companies that are directly in the path of a multi-billion-dollar restructuring of American chip manufacturing. Intel for the fabrication layer, Amkor for the packaging layer. Neither is a clean, easy story. Both are worth understanding deeply. If this gave you a framework that you didn't have this morning, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who want research over noise. Drop a comment. Which story interests you more, the Intel Foundry comeback or the Amkor packaging play? Subscribe and hit the bell if you're not already. We do this every week. I'm John A.G. I'll see you in the next one.